Have you ever woken up really early in the morning, brewed yourself a cup of coffee, sat down on your favorite armchair, put up your feet, and opened up your laptop or tablet or any other electronic device, only to mosey on over to YouTube and be bombarded by videos on how banks are buying most affordable housing and renting them out at egregiously high prices, or perhaps on how housing supply is low whilst demand is high, or maybe even market prices in general are absolutely redonkulous, and by golly, is it just overall a terrible time to buy a house? No, was that just me? Well, I'm sure we're all familiar with the plethora of YouTube videos on said topic, and since they do a far better job at explaining how truly awful the housing market is, I won't be touching much on it. It's simply bad and sometimes feels rather depressing for many individuals. As such, after much pondering, deliberation, and a grand amount of critical thinking, I've come to the conclusion that if I'm ever to own my own dream home, I simply ought to make it myself. In 3D, of course. Before I get started, I wanted to make a few disclaimers. Number 1. In terms of tools, I plan on using Autodesk Maya for the majority of this project. I'll also be using Procreate for concept work and likely Photoshop for some texturing. In the future, I might use other programs, and I'll be sure to mention them when I do. Number 2. Do I know what I'm doing? Kinda. In terms of modeling, yes, I'm confident in my ability to model a house. But I'm neither an architect nor am I an engineer, so the house that I'm constructing will very likely not be applicable to real life. So, I'm not taking things such as plumbing or electricity or any other modern home necessity into great consideration. And number 3. Since this is entirely 3D and not ever going to be a real house, as previously stated, I'm focusing on having fun and being creative. This means that although my focus is on getting the house to look like it could function as a normal home that you'd see in a neighborhood on a casual Tuesday night, I will most likely add elements that realistically would not work. With that out of the way, we can start planning things out. I decided that I should begin by figuring out rooms that I'd want in said house and make a list. At first, my list consisted of normal rooms, such as the kitchen, some bedrooms, a living room, boring normal house things. But then I remembered this one time I was awake at 3 a.m. watching house tours of extremely affluent individuals and making an observation that they have room for quite literally everything, and then some. Seriously, the things that rich people do sometimes are wild. They have money, and boy howdy, do they use it. Ever heard of Casa Loma? Well, this one guy, Sir Henry Pellet, decided that Canada was really lacking in castles, which is very correct, and then he spent 3 years from 1911 and about 3.5 million Kanakaroo bucks to build this 7-floor castle. It's really pretty and features a bunch of wild things, including an underground pool room that turned into a movie theater, a treasure room that they only really tell you about and won't really show you, and 3 whole secret tunnels, one of which was made to connect the main house to the stables, which, by the way, is bigger than some modern mansions. All of this because the city of Toronto refused to sell land that had pesky little roads and houses on it. And you know what? Here, have a video. So that is Casa Loma. We went in there and we took a secret tunnel that got us across the street and out of there. And the reason was the guy was stinking rich and he wanted the city of Toronto to essentially block that street so that he can build a continuous castle. And because the city said no,
he dug a tunnel.
He dug a tunnel. Other fun ones include Quinta de Galera in central Portugal, Durham Castle in Durham, England, Luigi's Haunted Mansion in Boo Woods, and any celebrity mega mansion in California. So, I'm gonna pretend I have enough money to rival the King of England and go ham. With that in mind, here's a list of the rooms that I want. And now here's a list of the rooms that I want not in my illegible handwriting. I'll likely add to this list later on, as there are both a few rooms that I'm still considering whether or not to model, and also rooms I'll likely be inspired to model. For now though, I'm satisfied with this simple selection. Honestly, I was a bit conflicted with what style of housing I'd like. There are many different types of buildings, each with such unique history and aesthetics. The Greco-Roman temples, with their Ionic, Doric, and Corinthian columns, are always breathtaking and have an air of divinity to them. The Gothic architecture, with its flying buttresses and focus on arches, are equally as impressive and almost overwhelm you with its intricacies. Art Deco has a unique take focusing on geometric shapes and colors that pop. Traditional Japanese architecture with its wooden structures built to withstand earthquakes give a sense of wonder and awe. And many other styles of architecture are impressive and gorgeous on their own right. Choosing just one style of architecture feels like such a Herculean task, but after a while of thinking, I've just decided to pick and choose my favorite elements of each style, and hope it looks nice.
What I think I'll do is start modeling smaller things, such as doors, windows, columns, and so on and so forth. And then I'll put it all together like a little jigsaw puzzle. Anyways, that's my plan for building my own home in 3D. Thanks for sticking out this long, and see you in the next video, where I'll finally start modeling something. Bye-bye now!